Hello, y'all. Welcome back to another vlog. We are starting out the morning-ish by doing DIY haircuts. Not really haircuts. I'm just trimming the girls' bangs. A couple of the girls have bangs. Rosie, her hair grew really long, but we ended up cutting it again because she likes it shorter. It's just kind of her preference. And with the bangs, honestly, I would love for her to not have bangs right now, but she keeps getting these eye infections from her hair because her natural hair hangs in her eye even when you don't have bangs. So it's kind of complicated. It sounds more ridiculous than it actually is, but just she needs to have short bangs to keep that hair in the front from falling into her eye because she keeps getting these styes that keep getting infected because her hair's in her eye and then she's constantly touching it and stuff. And so when I cut Rosie's bangs, I don't know, a month or so ago, Millie was like, I want bangs too. And she asked for it. I said, okay, are you sure? She said yes. And she's a little girl who does not like to wear a ponytail or style her hair or anything. So it's actually really helpful to keep her hair out of her face as well, for her to just have some little side bangs. So there you go. Bang trims for everybody. I don't do the boys' haircuts or anything like that. They go to the barber. But DIY haircuts saves us some money, y'all. When you've got 8 kids, it definitely saves us some money. Now, you probably noticed that I need to sharpen my scissors. That's a conversation for another day. Christopher and I are discussing the meal plan. He's going through the new summer meal capsule. You can check that out in the description box if you're interested in it. And he's going through and deciding what he likes and wants, and he likes to mix it up a little bit. So, gotta let him have some choices here. But I'm trying to make my arguments and convince him to just follow my pre-done grocery shopping list, dude. Just pick a week and stick with it. But he wanted to mix up some of the recipes in the order that I had them in the capsule. So, which is totally all right by me. The man can do what he wants. Oh my goodness. It is so flippin' humid today, y'all. It is so humid. I got to lay out these towels. So here's, what did I just drop or break? Something. I just dropped something. It's funny because I feel like in many ways, being a homeschool family, summer in some ways is kind of like any other day. And I get why, if your kids are in school all day and then suddenly they're home all day for summer and you're trying to figure out what to do with them, it can be stressful. But I even feel that way at times, as a homeschool family, because even though we're used to our kids being home, it's also a little less structured. It's also incredibly hot and humid like it is today. And they've got all kinds of other stuff going on, some different camps and stuff that they go to. It can get really overwhelming and expensive too. So I don't know. I feel like sometimes people think homeschoolers are immune to that kind of stuff, and we're definitely not. I've been sharing on Instagram lately some of the summer fun outdoor stuff we've been doing with the kids, ways to get them outside, get them, off of screens and tablets and stuff like that. I mean, obviously we have limits, rules, every family is different, but sometimes it's a struggle bus. I just kind of love the idea of having a little bit of a throwback summer, an 80s style summer where we just do the kind of stuff that we did as kids, which was a lot of playing outside and crafts and activities and stuff like that. I have very distinct memories of my mom taking us to these. I think honestly it was a place, a family owned place where they made their own porcelain figurines. And so you'd go in and it was just a bunch of blank, unpainted, unfinished pieces of porcelain or ceramic or whatever. And then you'd buy them, take them home and paint them and decorate them. I should ask my mom if she remembers that, or if my sister Ashley remembers that, because I distinctly remember doing stuff like that with my mom, and it was so fun. I've been working on a whole list of ideas for that kind of stuff. And one of my best recommendations is actually a sponsor of today's video, and that is Crunch Labs. All right, if y'all have never heard of Crunch Labs, you are going to love this, especially for your kids who really are into the STEM and engineering type stuff, because this is a STEM subscription. So you're going to get these really fun build-it-yourself toys. And they are hosting this summer camp where every week your kid is going to get a box shipped to them. They'll get 12 build-it-yourself toys total. Plus, they're going to get very exclusive access to Mark Rober videos and weekly challenges that have all kinds of fun engineering nuggets and just things that are not mindless and brainless. You know, we want our kids to have fun during the summer, but we also want them to learn and keep their brains moving, not have that summer slide when they start back to school. There will be so many like juicy engineering nuggets during the camp. Not to mention, there are ongoing challenges that your kids can participate in. So there'll be 6 challenges during camp, and Mark will choose a winner from submissions that you post on social media for each of the challenge. And one lucky winner is actually going to get to visit Crunch Labs and be in the final summer video with Mark. So if you've got an engineering minded kid, they're going to love this. Again, as a homeschool family and someone who is not super savvy with various STEM subjects, I absolutely love ways that I can make this fun and exciting, these topics fun and exciting, and mean something in the real world, right? Help our kids really understand how all of these concepts apply to actual life. My kids absolutely love these. The boys especially, they are just obsessed. I don't even know how to tell you. They're constantly playing with the toys that they create. And Mark Rober is the creator of Crunch Labs. And if you don't know him, it's so obvious that he is passionate about STEM topics and engineering. It totally shows in the type of things that he creates for Crunch Labs. But he's not only a YouTuber, but an actual former NASA engineer. So to me, it's so obvious when someone is passionate about something. And I truly believe that having passionate teachers to teach you is really how kids learn the best, right? Like that passion is contagious. And I, for one, feel like it shows through totally in these different toys and projects that the kids are creating. And I love that it makes them passionate about STEM topics too. And of course, I have a special deal for you. If you purchase the subscription for the summer camp, you're going to get 2 boxes for free, and that's a $60 value. So just go to crunchlabs.com/nest. You are going to love this for summer, and your kids are going to love it too. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get them on film, but we have this mama bird. CR took a little clip of one of the fledglings in the nest in the last vlog. So it's mama and her 3 babies. And so now that the fledglings have gotten out of the nest, they still hang close. So they're like living in the bushes around my garden. So while she's teaching them and training them like how to fly and how to catch food and all of that stuff, her and dad, we see the dad bird from time to time too, are like kind of protecting them. So they're all just in these trees and bushes right here around my garden. Why, when there's a million dogs here, did they choose this for location? I can't be sure. Doesn't seem that smart to me, but they're definitely, probably because of the garden, right? But still, the dogs, you know, predator pressure, feels like maybe you might find food somewhere else. They are everywhere in the garden, and the little fledglings, I was in there last night, like tying up my watermelon vines and everything, getting the cucumbers and stuff growing up the trellises that I have. And the fledgling was like practicing flying. He'd come and land on one of the trellises and then just stand there and look at me like, oh, uh-oh, there's a person here. They're so cute. And I'm really worried that our dogs are gonna get them, but I see mom in there with one of the babies right now. So I'm gonna see if I can get them on film. Probably not. Oh, that's all 3 of them. All 3 of them are right there. Shoot, I'm not gonna be able to get them. Don't worry, guys, it's okay. They're like, ma'am, we don't know you. It's okay. Hi, look at you guys all feathered out. Look at you all feathered out. You look so good all feathered out. See, they're living in those bushes. Douglas, get out of here, sir. I left them this strawberry up here last night and they haven't gotten it. Kind of surprised. And also the mom, there's dad right there on the fence. I doubt you can see him. Can't zoom in anymore. But the babies have been living in these bushes. It's kind of funny because when they get scared, the mom flies away and just leaves the babies like, good luck, best of luck to you. But she has dive bombed a few of us when she thinks that we're messing with the babies. There's the other one. They're all up in the, good job flying. Look at me, it's like these are my baby birds or something. They're not. It's just I want them to live. And I'm worried that their choice of location putting their lives at risk. Seems like a questionable choice of locations to live, and I'd like to see them survive and live. So I'm like, please make better choices, birds. Again, I get it. There's a whole garden here full of food, which reminds me, we probably need an updated garden tour. It's kind of hot, and I feel like the sun is boiling me right now, so maybe I'll wait till closer to sunset to come in here and give y'all a garden tour, because as the sun comes out, it's going to cook me.
It's not even that it's that hot. It's just that it's so humid. I'm not sure that I'm sweating. Everything is sweating. Things that are not touching are sweating, which is never a good sign. That's how you know it's really humid, is when stuff that's not like the bend, the fold, the crack, you know, just regular skin is sweating. Kennedy's out there working with Raven, and I may try to sneak some footage. I'll double check with her, make sure she's okay with me telling y'all about this, but she's been competing in these Liberty horse competitions. And again, if you don't know what that is, it's basically like working with your horse, where it's really about like the connection that you have with the horse, because you're sort of asking them to do things and you're not using typically like a halter, bridle, bit. They're really just like working off of cues that you give them. So it's like they have to trust you, and the relationship has to be good. It's something that is not as common. It's not as easy to do. It's a little bit more challenging as like a horse trainer, if you will. And so she's been entering competitions. She got first place in the last competition that she entered, and her scores were even better than some of the professionals, like the people above her. So obviously she got first place in her division, but her scores were better than some of the people in higher divisions. So pretty excited for her. She's been really enjoying that. And she went to her and Shelby both went to a like in-person workshop kind of a thing here locally. This lady was traveling through, who's a trainer for this. And so they went and got like each an hour-long private lesson with her, and they really, really loved it. So there's a big like Liberty Horse Association, like their yearly convention show thing that's at the Kentucky Horse Park in the fall. And I think we're going to try to go. The lady told them that we need to trailer the horses up there and enter them. I don't know if we're going to do that, if we're just going to go as like spectators, but it is kind of funny because if you're an OG, if you have been around the vlog since the beginning, really, then you probably remember us taking the girls to Briarfest in Kentucky. That they used to love to go to the Kentucky Horse Park every year. Briar horses would have this thing called Briarfest. I assume they still do. We would take the girls there. It was like the big thing that they just really loved to do and wanted to do. And we haven't obviously gone in many, many years. They got to the point where that wasn't necessarily their jam anymore. It'll be kind of fun, very nostalgic to go back to the Kentucky Horse Park, but to go for something else, another horse related thing that they're doing now that's, you know, not the collectible toys, but the actual horses. So I think it's kind of fun and exciting. Douglas, he's kicking dirt behind me, that little turd burglar. Ooh, let's go see if we can get Kennedy.
All right, y'all. Now we are going to do one of the easiest things in the world, like make one of the easiest things in the world to make, that I feel like when you start talking about like basic skills and stuff, a lot of people, myself included, get really overwhelmed. But making your own butter is so easy. And I thought it would be kind of cool if I just left the camera on and did a time lapse so you could see that the process that the cream goes through. If you have a stand mixer like this is definitely the way to do it. Of course, you can churn butter by hand, and I have a cute little mason jar churn, which is fun for the kids to do, but it's a workout, let me tell you. So also depending on the quality of cream that you're starting with, the process can be faster, slower. You want it to be room temperature, things like that. I did, like for this time, because I wanted to film it while I was doing other stuff, I kind of did all the wrong things. The cream was not super warm. It's ultra pasteurized, which is all that I had. Not good. But tastes amazing in the end. Like it still works out. Just goes to show you like everything doesn't have to be perfect and it'll still work out. But you can see that you just put 2 cups of heavy cream, or, you know, if you can get like from a local dairy place, or if you have a dairy cow, you want that nice cream. And you'll see that it goes through the process where it starts to become like whipped cream, right? That's, you know, we all know how to make whipped cream, easy peasy. Well, add some sugar and stuff in there too. But then you just let it keep going beyond that. Okay. You're just going to let it keep doing its thing. And this is despite the fact you're watching it at like 8 times speed. This is on a low-ish setting, like low to medium setting. And it will go past that whipped cream point, and eventually it will start to separate into a liquid and a solid. And then at some point I'll have to stop like videotaping or recording. I have to put a dish towel over it, because once it starts to separate like that, it'll start to splash. And first of all, you don't want to waste that liquid because that's delicious buttermilk, but also it can be very, very messy. So I do have to toss a dish towel over in a second. But this is about a 20+ minute time lapse that you're watching like come together. So it's depending again on the factors of like how good the quality is, the room temperature, all of that, the temperature in your house. This can be faster or slower, but for me on this day, it was about 20 minutes in the mixer like this. And then you can see that it's like kind of looks like some almost like curd looking things. And then you just keep going. And eventually, I promise, not too crazy. Oh, it starts to like go liquid on you. And then you get a solid. And that's your butter. And so you just take that solid butter that you get out of it. And then, of course, I highly recommend keeping the buttermilk as well. But once it's in a solid, then you just rinse it under cold. Excuse me. You rinse it under cold water and just kind of squeeze it out under that cold water until it is like squeezing out clear and not like muddled water. And then you know you've gotten as much of that buttermilk out, which keeps the butter fresher longer. That makes it last longer. And then you can flavor it. So I'm just adding some salt to mine for this. We're just making some, you know, plain old salted butter. But if you needed unsalted butter, you could do that as well. If you wanted to add herbs or, you know, honey, make honey butter. Like there's all kinds of things you can make. But it's I don't know. It makes you feel like ma and pa on the trail, like you actually have some skills, and it's super easy. So I'm just pouring the buttermilk into a mason jar that I have a screw top lid for, and I'm going to put that in the fridge.
All right, so in the last vlog, you guys saw that Angie finished up the trim paint on the chicken coop. It's now in its permanent location for our feathered friends. But I did read in the comments, a couple of you guys inquired about how we moved it. Several vlogs back, I told you I built it up there on my driveway because the surface was flat, and I did not anticipate how much it weighed. Way more than my tractor could lift, way more than I could maneuver, definitely. So I did find some sweet 12-inch casters over at Tractor Supply. I secured these. I bought 2 of them, and I secured them to the 4x4 on each, or 4x4s on each side. I braced all the legs together because these are intended just to support the structure. They're not intended to move back and forth or side to side. And for the move, they were definitely going to be wiggling. So tied them all together. And then I came around on the other side of the chicken coop with the forks on the tractor, lifted on this end, and that enabled the other side to be pulled or pushed with the tractor. It wasn't an easy move. It took like 30 minutes because the forks on the tractor swiveled in a manner that made it a little bit difficult to maneuver, but we did take it from up here on the driveway, pulled it all the way around the office, around that bush, twisted it, and then pulled it up to its existing location, and we got it all squared away. So it is on a little bit of a slope over here, which is no big deal. Took a couple paver stones, threw them underneath there. She's all level, and now our feathered friends have their final resting place, if you will. All right, so Ben and I are over here cleaning out the duck pond, and I thought I'd take a quick minute. And I don't know if on the vlog I've ever like fully described kind of the layout of the pond and everything that went into giving our ducks a nice home. Right now, my son is chasing them. But anyways, The pond, I can't remember exactly how big it is. I want to say it's probably about 20 feet by maybe 10 to 12 feet. We dug out a giant hole. We put a liner in it. We filled that liner with rocks. We filled it with water. Not that simple though. I wish it was. The way that I built this pond was trying to mimic a wetland. And so you'll notice outside of the main pond swimming area, that side, let me get rid of this thing. That side up there is what we call an intake bay. And down here is a wetland filter. So let's mosey on around over to the intake bay and I'll show you guys what we got going on here. So you'll notice deep down in the water, underneath it is a green, I use basically like a sprinkler box. Inside that box is my water pump. And so ultimately what takes place is this pump sucks in all the water from the pond. I think it cycles through all of the water in probably about an hour. It pulls everything in and you'll see a larger kind of black water line. That's the water line that runs from the pump. And it takes it up to the top, up to the wetland filter area. I do need to get some more rock for the wetland filter because it's running a little thin. The ducks get in there and they play and it ends up kicking around a bunch of my filter. But ultimately, the water line dumps into a perforated pipe, which is buried underneath a lot of rock. And what happens is all of the duck gunk, the stuff, if you will, the duck waste and any algae or anything the pump pulls through gets stuck up here on the filter side. And you can even see it working right now. A lot of the stuff up here just hangs out, the waste. And collectively, it acts as a natural filtration system to keep the pond as clean as possible. I did a lot of research in trying to build a pond that was suitable, but also easy to maintain and as clean as we can keep it. The reality is ducks are incredibly messy creatures. They're a lot of fun to have. My kids love them. They'll come out here and just sit and hang out by the pond. We've got frogs in there. We've had some fish that have lasted several months. We put some what do you call them? Minnows. We were feeding the ducks some minnows one time and came back a couple months later and they were still in there. So anyways, the pond, the pH of the water is great. The filter and the pump work really well. I've also added, you'll see this box up here. That's where my power supply is, as well as the aeration for the pond. It does have 4 like bubble makers, I guess you would call them. But that just keeps oxygen pumping into the pond. I drain it probably once a month and then refill it. And then I do a deep clean on it twice a year, which means I drain all the water out and then spray off all of the rocks, all of the small rocks, the large rocks, get all of the waste that had settled down at the bottom, get that completely out of the pond. And that usually takes pretty much close to a full day. But again, that only happens once, maybe twice a year. So overall, the pond is working great. I still need to find some suitable plants that my ducks won't eat that will thrive in this place. You can tell this is all very hard red clay. So once we find some additional plants, we'll build it up around the sides and really make it look like a natural wetland or a natural pond. But it's a great place to hang out, especially when it's shady like it is right now. Huh, Millie? So these two, in addition to Ivy, they love frog hunting. And it's the time of year where it's warm enough to where the frogs are coming out. And so we'll go around the property where all the frogs like to hang out near light sources and where the bugs are. And when we're done, we'll come and we'll toss them in the pond here. And we've ran into some situations where we're dumping 10 to 12 frogs in here. And then we'll come out here the following morning and we'll see a bunch of tadpoles that had been, or obviously tadpoles and the egg or larva, whatever you call reptilian baby frogs that aren't quite born yet. We'll see them hanging out in the pond. About maybe a month ago, Millie and I came out here and giant bullfrog. I'm talking legit bullfrog, about half the size of my head. It was massive. I think I got a picture of it. I'll have Angie put it in the vlog right here to show you guys, but Millie was infatuated with this bullfrog. We did not catch him. He has been living in this pond for, I would guess, a couple weeks because we ran into him a couple times now. And as soon as he sees us or she sees us, dives underwater and we don't see him again until we sneak up out here the following night. So yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of wildlife out here. We see dragonflies, we've got frogs, fish, tadpoles, a bunch of different bugs and stuff, and obviously the ducks.
And now it's time to make dinner. It is the same day. I just changed my top because I got a chill. I don't know what is with me. I mean, cold in my own house. We're making baked chicken tacos tonight, y'all. And let me just tell you, my mouth is watering right now recording this. All right. These are so delicious. Basically, everyone in my family loves these. They devour them. I have to like triple the recipe that's in the cookbook to make enough for our family. I try to keep the recipes in the summer capsule to like normal portions for, because I understand most people are feeding, maybe they're doing 4 servings, 6 servings. Most people aren't making food for 10 people. So they're very easy, though, to just double, triple, whatever. And I give you all those recommendations in the capsule for like, hey, this is a great recipe to double and freeze one, that kind of thing, so that you can later on in the capsule have, food that you don't have to make or prepare. You already done the work. It's a little gift to yourself. So you can just pluck it from the freezer and away you go. So I love good shortcuts, and I do list this in a few of the recipes as well, where I recommend that if you want the shortcut to buy a rotisserie chicken or, cook your own in a crock pot or something like that, just to make it go faster for something like this, 2 rotisserie chickens is perfect for us. For how much of this we make. If you were making normal portions, 1 rotisserie chicken would be plenty. But it's really good. It cuts the time of cooking quite a bit, obviously. And they're not terribly expensive, although they have gone up in price. I am a little surprised by that. They used to be like real affordable. They're still affordable comparatively speaking, but I don't know. I'm getting cheap in my old age where I'm like, really? That's how much that costs? Are you for real? Anyways, so it's very easy to make. We're going to saute some onions, and then we're going to add our shredded chicken in, and then we're going to add some diced tomatoes, some rotel tomatoes, and I usually add a little bit of water just depending on, the ratio of things and how much of the sauces my meats are soaking up. But it's so good. Look at Stella. She's like, please just drop a piece of chicken. Honestly, y'all, she's so old. She kind of looks like a ghost haunting in the corner there because you can see in her eyes that like she's got no vision. She can't see anything. Also, I turned the volume off on this to voice over it because, well, for many reasons. It's very loud in the house almost all the time. But Jessie was just standing behind me barking like obnoxious because she really wanted me to drop some of that chicken. And I was like, ma'am, I'm going to sick Kennedy on you if you don't get off my tail. She was just barking at me. It was driving me nuts. You can see her standing there. Look at that tail perked up. She's like, please drop something. We use hard taco shells for this. We put some refried beans in, and then we put in the chicken mixture. And then, well, you pre-cook the shells for just a few minutes, fill them all up, and then sprinkle cheese over the top. After you put the refried beans and the chicken mixture in, then you put cheese over the top of that and bake it for like 8 minutes. That's why I say it's not, you like pre-bake the shells for 5 minutes and then fill them all up and then put them back in for another 8 minutes. And if you use a rotisserie or like already done chicken, honestly, this is a super quick, at least in my book. I suppose for some people, quick would be like, 5-minute ramen. But for a meal that tastes as good as this one does and is like such a crowd pleaser, they just love this recipe so much. So I'm going to get that in the oven, let it cook for 8 minutes, and then you're going to see the cheesy, ooey, gooey deliciousness. Look at it. Just look at it. It's amazing. And then, of course, you can put whatever toppings. We do like diced tomatoes and sour cream and some fresh cilantro, your little toppings on there. But these are, chef's kiss. So delicious. And then, I recently read an article that said that if you walk for 10 minutes after you eat, it has so many benefits for your digestion, for your glucose levels, all of that kind of stuff. So I've been trying to get in the habit of walking or doing something active after I eat my dinner, set my plate down and then go walking, because really most of the time I'm tempted to just eat some bread or dessert or something. But I'm going to go check on my garden. This is what I do, like an old lady. Okay, I tinker around in my garden. I check, I see what's growing. I make sure nothing's getting crazy pest infected. I don't want to jinx myself, but the pests haven't been too terrible so far. Of course, we're not that far into gardening season, so it's bound to get worse, but the pest pressure isn't so bad right now. But I like to come out and see, of my vining things, what I need to kind of twist and train up the vine as I'm trying to get them to grow up or up the trellis. Vining up the trellis. Words are hard. So that's usually what I do is come out here and tinker around with that. I check on all my maters, see how my little maters are coming in. And I discovered that I did have one ripe and ready to go. It was just one. So I thought, you know what? I'll give myself the honor of the first tomato of the year. And boy, oh boy, I'm telling you, nothing tastes like a homegrown mater, y'all. That's the mater dance. If you don't know it, now you do. The mater dance. And my dahlias, look at them. They're so beautiful. All right, y'all. That's it. We'll see you next week.